because nobody else wanted to see it, I took Facing Nolan and watched it, and I think it's a really, really well done documentary on a baseball great that is deservedly so. And I
Which is
took,
Nolan Ryan.
yeah, Nolan Ryan,
We must
who,
honor him by using his name.
yes, I must honor him. Yes, Facing Nolan, about Nolan Ryan, is what I think a lot of people felt like the film should have been out way before it has been, that it is. And I know anyone who loves baseball knows who Nolan Ryan is. Uh, I have my own personal connection to baseball from a friend of mine whose father was a professional pitcher, who's actually featured in the film because he won the Cy Young Award when Nolan Ryan didn't. So he is not a Cy Young winner. And that is about the only thing in that film that you're like, I can't believe he never got that, because they had the pitcher, Randy, I'm spacing his last name, San Francisco, right?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember
the tall guy. Anyway, he's in there, and he holds the record under Nolan.
Record, right?
Yeah, for the most amount of pitches, but it's like 1,000 under. Like, there's no way anyone can catch up to him. And he had 7 no-hitters in his lifetime. One of them came at the age of like 41 or something. And the other thing that's pretty wild is the batters who are in the film to talk about what it was like to go up against him, because his pitch was so freaking fast. It had a sound all of its own, and they discussed that, which is kind of wild, that someone can actually throw a ball like that as many times as he did in his lifetime. You know, he's a towering man. He commanded attention. He knew his strength. He was also kind of a quiet man, so he was, almost feared. He did hit people. He did have a massive fight on that mound, and it was a very famous one. And what I think is wild is that before we had any of this technology, and we only had like 3 networks, the amount of people who can say they saw a no-hitter is kind of wild with Nolan Ryan. And that comes up in conversations when I'm telling people I've watched this film. They're like, oh, yeah. So there's a game that they feature where he was in the dumps. I think it was an Astros game, and I might be wrong, but no one was there, and I think it was his 4th or 5th no-hitter. And at the end of the game, the stands were full, like, watching him. And so I think that's kind of a powerful statement on, like, in a time when we weren't in cell phones and we weren't connected, that people heard, oh my God. So they went and saw his no-hitter. The other part of the story is it is a love story. It's a love story with his wife, who he knew since like age 0. They knew each other in the 4th grade. They got married. And as she said, she married baseball, which she did. And I know, again, growing up with someone who his family never saw him. I mean, that is a life of people that you're surrounded by. But he also loved Texas, and he ended up there eventually and owning the Rangers, a part owner. They have George W. Bush in the film. And I have to tell you, he comes off a very different man than he was as president. Very different. It's almost worth it to watch him, because you're like, whoa, like, that's a Texan, like, telling you what to do. And so it's super interesting. But everyone admired Nolan, feared him. People have captured footage on their films, on their phones. They show you, this is the catch, this is the hit. I mean, it's kind of wild. And he's still alive. He runs a ranch with his family. He's still pretty funny, and he's one of those great legends of baseball who did so many amazing things, but he also had problems, and I think that's what the story is so good. And they had some really good commentators to talk, and it's not a Ken Burns thing, but they're all these great sports announcers, and the histories and the numbers and the stats. The way they talk about it is pretty good in this film. It's not boring.
Yes.
So I think the world will love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're a baseball fan, at least my age, I mean, I remember Nolan Ryan pitching for the Angels, and
Right.
I think that was like
His
that was
first.
kind of his salvation when it came to the latter end of his career, and probably the best part of his career
Yeah.
was that second half, and he pitched a perfect game for the Angels, which was amazing. And well, and Bobby asks, who is Cy Young? Well, the Cy Young Award is given from the sports writers as to who is the best pitcher of that season. And Nolan Ryan.
Cy Young was a legendary pitcher.
Yes.
CY. Yeah.
Yeah.
My sports knowledge is very small. Let's put it that way.
I know. Bobby is like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I could just go on. I definitely want to see this movie.
You should. You'll love it, Alan. Yeah, you'll love it, and it's the best part of a legend. It's everything you want. Like I said, it's got the fights. It's got him when he's down, and you know, when he began, he was so out of control, like that they were like, what the hell is he doing pitching? You know, he was just all over the place. And yet he would win a World Series, but then he was traded. And here's another really cool fact. He was the first baseball player or athlete of any professional sports to earn $1 million. His very first year in Major League Baseball, he earned $7,000, and he then went on the off season. I think he sold air conditioners or something. Can you imagine that? Like back then? Yeah.
All right, Justin, Justin, who's a great Bambino. Yeah. We know you're a baseball fan. Come on. All right. Yeah. Okay.
My question is, would this appeal to people like me whose sports knowledge of any sport, not just baseball, is regulated to things that they reference in TVs or some documentaries that they've seen about it? Like, does it still work knowing, oh yeah, that was a famous pitcher, and that's kind of all I know about Nolan Ryan?
Yeah, you know, it does because of the person he was. That I don't know. I always like again another underdog, but you actually hear someone's story and you can't believe the stuff they face. He should have walked away, years ago. Like, why is he still doing it? And you have to listen to his wife, because she's why he became the legend he is. And they said in the film, the kids all say, like, she was the most competitive person in the family. And so the family stuff is worthwhile, because you feel like, okay, like he's gifted, but he had to work at it. And if he didn't have his family behind him, I don't know if he'd be there. And so I think that's the connection to the greater good. Sports films about sports figures are what they are. Like,
I mean, they're all, the ones who get documentaries are the ones who overcame a lot to become great. And I think that's the inspiration that that the documentaries have, and it's trying to find those subjects that do that. And I find it amazing. You mentioned it, that it's taken this long to get a Nolan Ryan documentary.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it has to do with just how unassuming the man is. He was, all his entire personality was on the field, and
he's a quiet guy
right there.
Yeah, he had nothing to say. He's that guy who just said, "Yeah, I had a great game," and this, that, and that's it. Like, he's not a talker. He doesn't tell you he knows anyone. He doesn't congratulate anybody. He is just cut and dry. He's very Texan. Very just, it is what it is.
Which explains why it's at South by Southwest.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, it was for them. Absolutely. It's for Texas.
And by the way, it's Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. Yes. Yeah. He's a really good person in that film as a pitcher and someone who was an amazing baseball player. And he's like, no one could ever catch Nolan Ryan.
Yeah. I'm looking at Rod Crew as a part of it. They were teammates on the Angels.
And I think the best part about this film, and as you could say, why anyone would want to watch it, is the fear that facing Nolan was the fear of getting up in front of him, and us being that guy who was the last one up for a no-hitter, being the one who got hit.
Yeah.
And people didn't like it. They didn't want to deal with it. They hated getting up against him. So it was I love that part of it.